All right, let's do it. Let's rock and roll.
All
Take it
right,
away.
I will. I will. All right. So, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So, we wanted to, talk a little bit about VAs. It's very popular nowadays to hire a VA to help you with many different areas in your business. But today we're going to actually talk about hiring your first VA to help you with operations. So that is not going to cover anything related with sales or how you hire someone for sales, but rather for the admin side of your business. I am going to walk you through the steps. It's going to be an overview. We are not going to go super in depth. But what we're going to do is after this short presentation, we're going to show a case study and we're going to do a Q&A. Okay. So when it comes to VAs, the very first thing that you need to do is to understand what are your needs. What do you need the VA to take over for you? What exactly are the things that you are not good at, the things that you don't actually enjoy doing, and the things that probably are repetitive, and the things that you need help with? And it seems so obvious, but sometimes I encounter people that is like, oh yeah, I need a VA for admin, but they don't even know what are the tasks that they're going to be delegating to that particular VA. My recommendation is that first you are super clear on what exactly you need, because based on that, we are going to start the process. Based on exactly what you need, what are your weaknesses, we're going to hire, we're going to select the right person for you. So in this case, if you are, for example, a realtor, you might be doing a lot of listings. And let's say that you're running like crazy, you don't have time for paperwork, you are going to appointments, you're good at selling, then you might need a listing coordinator that, will definitely benefit your business. And maybe you are a realtor or an investor and you notice that you kind of are not as fast to reply to emails or maybe to complete the documentation that is needed or sending addendums or important things to a title company or to the other agent. In this case, definitely you will need a transaction coordinator. But sometimes you also need some help with general admin tasks. So whatever the case, you need to be very clear on what you need before you start searching for a VA. Once that you are clear on what are the tasks that you're going to be delegating to your VA, then it's time to start defining the job role, the exact responsibilities that that person is going to be taking off your plate. You're going to create a very detailed job description, and you're going to have to outline the tasks. You're going to make sure you're clear on the skills that you're going to require for the candidate. And you need to set the expectations. Because again, if you don't have that clear, it's going to be very hard for you to find someone if you don't need what set of skills they need and things like that. So that step, again, it seems so obvious and so simple, but it's super important that you take a moment to think about it and to do these tasks before you start the search. Now, once that you again define the role and you having clear what type of, person you need, what type of help you need, then you're going to start with the search. And, you might be using the freelance platforms like onlinejobs.ph. You might be going through VA agencies that offer different type of services, or you might just network with peers and find, opportunities within your circle. In any case, then right before you start the screening and the interviewing process, it is super important that you craft a good ad. And a good ad is an ad that is going to define the role, set clear expectations on the amount of hours that you're going to need that person. It's not the same full-time, that part-time. You're also going to need to let them know how much you're going to pay, how much you offer for that position. And I definitely recommend that once that you start getting, applications, you go through a process of a personality test. And that is something that we never skip in any of our hires, because it is super important that you understand that that person can be a good fit either for you if you're a solopreneur or for your team. Okay, you always have to make sure that that person is going to, contribute to your team. And they might have all the hard skills in the world. They might be perfect in paper. They might have a ton of experience, but if they don't have the right personality for your team or to complement you, then it's not going to work on the long run. For us, it's very important to, have a very, very kind of intense type of, interview process. We interview them. We go through different type of tests. We ask them to complete different tasks when, needed. It depends on the position we're hiring for. Because you need to be very, very careful when you bring someone. You need to make sure that that is the right fit. Yeah, that is for the interview and the screening. Those are very, very important, steps on the process. And then the onboarding process. Once that you choose the perfect candidate to join your team, the very first thing that you need to make sure is that you have an agreement in place. And on the agreement, you should have everything listed in there, how much you're going to pay, how many hours they're going to work, what are the hours that you expect them to be available for you, what happens if they cannot come to work, how long in advance they have to let you know, how are they going to take time off, etc. So you have to include everything in the agreement. And then, obviously, for the onboarding process, you will have to set channels of communication. How are you going to communicate with that person? Is it going to be through text, through chat, Slack, email, Zoom, whatever it is, it needs to be clear. And one of the most important things is that you need to give them access, obviously, to all the tools and the systems that they're going to need. And you're going to have to, set the expectations and goals for that person. And it is very common that people get super excited about hiring someone, and once that they find the perfect candidate, they fail because they are not ready. They don't set them up for success. And instead of helping them, you are just making sure that that relationship is never going to work. If you don't provide a good onboarding process, they are not going to be able to be successful. They cannot read your mind. They are new to your business. They don't understand your operations. So you need to be able to give them all these, tools. And then another thing that comes right after the onboarding is almost like the orientation. And then you will have to really pay a lot of attention to training and development. No matter if that candidate comes with a ton of experience and is, have an awesome resume and things like that, the reality is that they don't know your operation. They don't know how you work. They don't know the things that are important for you and your business. So the best way for them to learn is to actually have access to processes and procedures. And I know that, it's like a big word. Nobody likes processes and procedures, especially if you had to create them from scratch. But the reality is that they don't have to be super complicated. Processes and procedures is basically explaining how you do things in your own business. And you can just create a Loom video walking that new employee on how you complete each task. And definitely you have to create that prior to hire someone. If you don't, then what is going to happen is that you're going to have that big expectation that the VA is going to come and help you and take things out of your plate. And now you're going to have a lot of time and your life is going to be wonderful. And unfortunately, if you don't have a training plan in place, this training process is going to be super overwhelming for you, because now you don't have anything to give to that person. That person is going to be sitting in there waiting for you to have time to explain things. Or you might be like, okay, do this and that and that, and that person have no clue on how you operate. So it's going to be frustrated for you. It's going to be frustrating for the VA. And at the end of the day, you're going to feel overwhelmed. And that is what you need to avoid, because the reason why you start hiring someone is to help you. But you need to take a little bit of time before that and create a very simple but effective training plan. And again, just utilize tools like Loom and just create videos. And you can even do that while you're doing your day-to-day tasks. So you don't have to set time to do something outside of your day-to-day tasks. Just while you are doing something, just, turn on the Loom and record yourself. So training, super, super important. And those are pretty much the steps that we take. It's obviously a very high level overview. It is, in some cases, a very long process, especially for certain positions, because we always want to make sure that the candidate that we bring, to the team is the right one. So that is, again, pretty much an overview. So I pass it on to Cesar now.
All right, all right. Awesome. That was great. So let's do a case study and then we'll jump into the questions here that people have, any questions that they have. So you brought in a new assistant, a transaction coordinator, right?
Yes, transaction coordinator. Yes.
How long did it take? Like, let's walk through the steps. So you defined a role, which is a transaction coordinator. You went out and hired her. How long did it take you to hire her?
Like about, I will say, a couple of weeks.
Because you were taking your time to make sure it was the right fit and
Yes, because when you put the ad in different platforms, then you start receiving applications, and you have to go over all the applications. And sometimes you need to wait a little bit. Sometimes you don't receive the right application the first day, so you weigh your options, right? And then you select the candidates out of this pool of applications. You select the candidate that you think that has the best chances to be the best fit for your team. And then you start the process. In the process, we also, as I said, we ask them to complete different things like personality test, some type of tasks in some cases, and we conduct several interviews with several team members, because everyone might have a different type of point of view, and we try to cover every single angle.
nice. Are you going off of like what personality test or what exactly, which one are you using? Because we've gone from the disc, we've used there's the Tony Robbins one. There's another one that we've been using. Which one are
Sharp.
you using?
Yeah. Well, for this particular search, the one that we used was DISC.
Um, the disc is broken down into four personality types, right? You have dominant, independent, someone that is very like, very checklist driven. And which one's the last one? I'm like this
You have
and
dominant, you have,
steady
yeah, steady.
and steady, right?
Yes.
Compliant, dominant, uh, influential. I feel like I'm back in high school, like taking tests. So, um, so you're looking for someone that is more on the compliant and steady.
Yes, that is for this position in particular, because we are going to be handling a transactions, a lot of paperwork. That person needs to be very detail oriented, and it's also need to be good compliance. We are going to be dealing with that exactly. So yes, they need to have a high C,
Yeah.
and that is like a definitely one of the requirements. But then I'm not just looking at what exactly they're good at. In this case, if they have a high C, I have better chances, for them to be, good with paperwork, for example. But also they need to blend good with my operations team. So in this case, for example, I am, the person in charge of operations. And based on my personality, I need to make sure that the person that I bring on board is going to complement me, because we need to get along to be able to get along together, and not just being friends or things like that. When I say that, is we need to be able to be at the same page. We need to be able to complement each other, and we need to be able to communicate in a good way. If you know that you're going to clash with someone because that personality is not going to work for you, then it's pointless. That person might be perfect for another team, but maybe not for yours. So those things are super, super important. And we've been hiring like that forever, really.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't hire somebody that has the same personality as you.
No, never.
No?
So if they have a high D, chances are that they are not going to be part of my operations.
Now, maybe like a medium D?
Yes, definitely. But, for example, my D is through the roof. So it will be very, very difficult to deal with another person with a, extremely high D.
Yeah. Now,
It's going to be difficult, and we're not going to complement. I have my strength that I bring to the team, and I need to bring someone that also balances me. Because
yeah.
if you hire someone that is exactly like you, then you have no balance.
No, I hear you. No, I understand. And I'm just kind of looking back, like maybe reminiscent of how it was at the beginning, because we're both like super high D's, and it's different when you're in different departments too, because
Yes.
what you're saying is your girls are in one, like, hey, they're kind of like you're their leader, you're their coach. So it's a different story. But if it was like you hiring for someone else, or you hiring for like another company, whatever, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have someone like similar to you. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if
Absolutely.
and I mean, we're spending a lot of time on this thing, but like everything else, if you don't take the time to get to know somebody from the beginning, it just becomes like it'll be a wreck a month from now, and you're like, oh, I just gotta hire somebody else. Oh, I just gotta hire somebody else. Or we were just talking about that, right? Or you'll say, well, those VAs don't work. That doesn't work. No, it's sometimes it's like maybe you got to look at yourself and be like, maybe I don't work, you know, or just a point. I'm not saying, uh, but a lot of times, if things don't work out once, two times, three times, you might just have to put the mirror out and say, maybe it's me, maybe I need to tweak somewhere around there. Cool. So, you're training her. What does that look like? How many days, or like, is it just like sales? Like you need to start making calls the next day, or no?
No, no, definitely not. No, okay, so the training process can take about 3 to 4 weeks. And the reason being, obviously, it's going to depend on the experience of that particular candidate, right? In her case, she was used to EXP because she used to work for a realtor in Canada, and they uses EXP. So she was familiar with certain systems, with things that EXP does for compliance. However, she wasn't really familiar with contracts because, the contracts are, based on each state. So, she was working in a different country. So we spent a lot of time studying the contracts, the listing paperwork, the wholesale agreements. And, we spend time on how to understand processes and procedures that we have for our particular team. And those are very, very important things. A transaction coordinator is going to manage, a transaction from beginning to end. And if you said, or if you write the wrong email, if you don't understand how to write an addendum, if you don't read the contract, correctly, you could potentially, affect the transaction. You could kill the transaction. So that is something that we take very, very seriously. And this is why the training is so extensive. On top of that, our transaction coordinators are also listing coordinators. The TC that works for me has to be able to do listing coordination, transaction coordination for realtors, and transaction coordination for investors. And on top of that, they have to be able to do admin tasks. We use a very, very robust type of task management system, and that takes time for someone to learn it. But, once that they go through the training, they are super TCs.
Cool. The system you use is called what?
Open to close.
Open to close, right?
Yes.
And she's about to finish her 30 days right now, or she's already done?
No. It's like today, week number 3.
Oh, week number 3. Okay,
Yes.
good. And
Yes.
how much time do you spend, like, are you spending with her daily or?
Yeah, normally I have a training schedule, a training plan before they come. And we do have exactly what I was talking about, the processes and procedures for everything we do. We have videos. So, we have videos on exactly everything, every task that we complete. So the very first part of the training is them, watching these videos. And then we meet twice a day to go over questions, and they spend the whole day, watching videos. That is for week 1. Then on week 2, we start reviewing contracts, and they start shadowing me, and I share my screen. And as I work, I explain them what I'm doing. And the idea behind that is not for them to understand absolutely everything I'm doing. It's more like for them to get immersed into our operations and kind of understand from a high level what we are doing. And then we obviously welcome questions that they have. We discuss, scenarios, what things are important for us, how to handle, potential issues and things like that. And then for the week 3, what we do is we let them do tasks. They do everything, and we supervise everything they do. So, we don't accidentally have them to send the wrong email or the wrong contract or things like that. They create everything, we supervise it. Once that we approve it, they can proceed. And they make phone calls to clients and things like that. And everything is in a supervised setting. So that is for week 3.
Wow, I'm already overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm already like, no, I need to go get me a coffee. Like, this is overwhelming. But so week 3, you're doing that. She's on week 3, so week 4. So how much time are you spending with them? Like, is it
Well,
30
as I
minutes?
said,
Is
on
it
the
not?
week 1 is about, 2 hours a day, because, we take a questions and answers normally in the morning, and then, at the end of the day. That is for week 1. And then for week 2, since they are, shadowing me, I spend the whole day with them, but it doesn't mean that, it's all I'm doing. I am working and they're watching me, and I'm talking while I'm working. I'm letting them know what I'm doing. So it's just a shadow. It doesn't mean that I'm going to, do an 8-hour class. I'm just working, and they are observing and trying to match everything they are seeing with the videos that they already watch.
Yeah, yeah. So next week is like she's on her own, and she's gonna be out on her own.
Yep.
And she'll be able to process contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's doing that now. She's like
Yeah,
practicing that, right?
but super supervised for now. Yeah.
So when you mean supervise, she sends it to you first, and you like
Like, for
double check
example, if we
it.
have to, if we receive a new contract and we have to open the file, we call open the file is putting everything on the system, on the task management system that we have. And then after we put everything there, we have to send, for example, introduction emails. So in this case, she will be in charge of putting everything on the system. And before she's, ready to send the intro emails, we are going to make sure that everything is correct. That way we don't practice with our clients. She has to do, for example, an introduction email, introduction phone call to a client. Then we are, with her in the phone, and we first coach her on the scenarios, how the conversation should go, what's the things that, she needs to communicate. And if she kind of gets stuck, we coach her, through the chat on what to say and things like that in real time. So that is what has been, the supervision part. We don't let her on her own to do things. We review everything, and then we're like, yep, you're fine to send, for example. But she's been writing addendums, contracts, and doing reverse prospecting and things like that.
Wow. Okay. Perfect. Cool. Well, I mean that sums it up. You've done not a few hires, and I think all your hires they stick, right? I mean, they just like you hire them and they don't go anywhere. They just become family. So it's because the structure, the attention that you give them, you want to pay them well too, like not at the bottom of the bottom. Because if you hire at the bottom of the bottom, you're gonna get kind of like
The
that in
bottom of the
return.
bottom. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I think we've had a conversation on that. You bonus them or no? You do, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And but that's after like 90 days, after a
Right.
few months, right?
Yes.
Cool.
So yeah, absolutely. We try to take care of our team members.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, I think you did an amazing job on just sharing your process. We talked about a case study. Let's open it up to anybody here that has a question. Oh, did you talk about payroll? Like, how do you do it?
No. But yeah, we do payroll. We do have a software that kind of monitors the hours that they work. So every VA in our team has to be connected to that software, and the software is going to kind of check that they are working, and when they're taking a break, they go idle, then the clock is going to stop. And at the end of the pay period, I print the timesheets, and I pay based on that.
Right. Well, I'm gonna open it up for questions. I know that I think Viviana asked the software. Is it HubStat?
Yes,
Okay.
for tracking the hours, yes, Hubstaff.
Okay. What was the pay program? The to pay the payroll?
Well, we're using Wise.
Wise. Okay.
Instead of PayPal, we're using Wise. Actually, we get the feedback that I get for the VAs is that the rates are more, convenient for them because it's a conversion rate. Obviously, it's a different currency when you hire, out of Philippines, for example. And the fees are also higher when you use PayPal.
So they get less or
They get less.
no? Yeah. Well, usually,
I mean, we
maybe
refund them. We refund them the fees, but the reality is that the conversion rate is not as convenient as the conversion rate that Wise is using.
okay, got it. Yeah. So what you're saying is, obviously, if you're like, let's say they get paid a certain amount, usually the employer will, should take care of that. That's the right thing to do. Not
Yes.
not pass on the fee
No.
to someone because they did their work. It just
Right.
happens to be in, okay, no,
It's
understood.
an expense on your business. I mean,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least we do it as an expense on your business because you're hiring overseas
yeah,
and going to pay someone in a different currency, but you should be taking care of that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Perfect. Guys, any questions? I mean, I have 5 questions, but I'm gonna let someone else. If anybody has a question, it's open. ask away, because I think this is very this is it's good. It's really good because I mean this is how you grow. This is how you become, you get back some time to do other tasks, and it's a win-win, right? Anybody has questions? What channels of communication are you using? Like what channels? I know that for us sometimes that's always a like which ones do you use? Because I tend to use like 5 channels. Like
I know,
I
yeah.
text you, I emailed you, I Instagram you, I WhatsApp you, and I'm like, oh my God.
What we use is, the Google Chat.
Okay,
Yep, we're all connecting in, Google Chat, and, we use, instead of Zoom, we use the Google Meets.
okay, got you.
So that's it.
Um, how do you keep track of what they do? I know there's different apps and stuff, but how do you keep track of what they need to do daily?
All right, yeah. So a couple of things. First, if you would like to kind of monitor what they're doing, HubStaff is going to give you screenshots of what they do every 10 minutes, right? So you're going to see what they're doing. I also monitor things with the task management system. With the task pipeline, you know exactly what needs to be done on the day, and do things needs to be checked off, at the end of the day, hopefully before. So that is the way that I control everything that needs to be done.
Nice, awesome. Um, Ali asked, how do you pay them? I know that you mentioned Wise, but like, I don't know if you meant like bi-weekly, weekly, per task. I mean, they don't send you your hours, you know their hours.
Yes, because that's the main purpose of using HubStaff. They are going to connect at the beginning of their shift, and they're going to disconnect at the end. And same thing on the breaks, right? And, at the end, we pay bi-weekly. Every other Friday, we, print this report that you can get on the HubStaff app, which is the timesheet, and we review all the hours, right? Making sure that everything is good. I also, give them a copy and ask them to review it, making sure that there is no errors. And after that, what I do is I calculate the amount and I send the money through Wise. Wise is almost like PayPal. Is a platform that is going to allow you to send money overseas to someone in particular, to a bank account. So that is how we get them paid. I don't know
Absolutely.
if that
Oh
was
yeah.
the question or if it's something, different that Ali wanted to know.
Yeah, I think that was the question. I think
Yes, thank
well,
you, Cecilia. That was the question. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
anybody else has questions? We got about another 10 more minutes before we shut it down. Loom videos. Like, I mean, you're always creating Loom videos for everything?
For the training, you don't have to make it fancy. There are systems out there like Trainio, for example, that are, specifically designed to create huge training programs and onboarding processes, and it's amazing. But the reality is that if you don't want to, spend the resources, I mean, the money and the time on creating that in particular, you can just do it with a spreadsheet and a Loom video. So all you need to do is to put on a spreadsheet, one column, the name of the topic, and the other column, the link. So you put how to, do reverse prospecting. You record a video about that, you doing the task, you get the link of that video, and you put it, on the spreadsheet. And then you create a library of training topics. And when you have someone new coming to your team, that's what you give them. Obviously, you assign different tasks to different dates, and you make it, you customize it to, whatever you want to teach every day of the week. But, you have everything in a spreadsheet, as simple as that. Doesn't have to be fancy.
Nice, thank you. Um,
Um,
Anybody else questions?
I do. Yeah, well, what you have said earlier is amazing. Like, you know, you just don't hire a VA. You also have to be ready yourself, you know, and how you can help them, how you can help them improve. Because you just don't hire them and okay, you start working. You also need to know how you can help them. That's gonna be an investment for you as well. So yeah, is there uh, what do you think, or is there maybe an advantage of hiring like someone who has no experience than someone who already knows a lot from the previous company?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is a great question. Thank you. I hire both cases. As part of the hiring process, we talk about hiring based on personality, right? Another thing that is super important, but we didn't really touch bases on, is that you need to also hire to match your company values. Someone might be amazing. Again, might have a very impressive resume, a lot of experience, might be genius. But if that person values doesn't align with yours, it's not going to work at the end of the day. So in some cases, you have to go with someone that has little or no experience, but had the right personality and the right values. For example, you cannot teach someone to have initiative. Either someone has it or don't, and you cannot teach someone to, be proactive. You can, help them to improve, but some people are like naturally that way. And you can, when you spot that, sometimes you know that it's so much potential that you take, I don't want to say the risk, but you take that person in your team knowing that you're going to spend longer to train them, but at the end, you're going to have, a really, really, really good new team member, someone that is going to be super valuable for your team.
All right.
That was an amazing question.
Yeah.
I think it's a great reminder because sometimes we hire or we look to hire when it's too late, and then you make the decision based on your necessity, not so much on your values. And I think if somebody I think I don't know if this makes sense, but when, like, let's say in real life or hiring or just real life, I want to hang out with people that think almost that have the same values as me, that have, like, they think like me. And I go to, like, let's say I go to a birthday party or something. I kind of gravitate towards people that are like, man, they love to exercise, they love to do this, certain things. So even in the hiring process is so important, because somebody that might not have a lot of experience, but they have the values, you could mold them really fast and they grow real fast. Yeah, that was a great question, Christine. Cool. All right, guys. We are done. That was amazing. If there's no more questions, I don't see nothing on the chat. I don't see no one asking. I have to update my profile photo. It's blurry. Cecilia's got like, it's got like a brand new one. I go get my
Mine is
makeup.
also like from my realtor years. So I changed it.
For sure. So, all right, I'm gonna sign off. If there's no more questions, I appreciate everyone here. And awesome. Thank you, Cecilia. That was amazing. Okay. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Peace, guys. Signing out.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.